I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all.
I have started recording. Okay. So SNMP does not support IPv6, but SNMP supports for IPv4. And initially, when IPv6 was designed, VPN also was not supported by IPv6, but now IPv6 is supported by VPN. And then FTP also doesn't support IPv6, but IPv4 supports FTP. So these are the major differences, and fragmentation and reassembly is not there in IPv6, whereas I mean the intermediate devices of IPv6 doesn't support fragmentation and reassembly, whereas IPv4 do it. Hence IPv4 is little slow compared to IPv6. And there are more features or more header fields in IPv4, whereas in IPv6 the header fields are less, hence it is quite faster. Okay, so these are the differences between IPv4 and IPv6. Then, what is the need for IPsec? Can anyone tell me what is the need for IPsec? Why do we need it?
Sir, in the previous two layers, we have many security like SSL and TLS in the transport layer, and in the application layer, we have Kerberos. Whereas from from in the network layer, we don't have any such security, so we need to protect network layer.
Yes. So basically, in transport layer and application layer, we have different protocols which secures them. Like in transport layer, we have SSL, TLS, SSH also to some extent, which provide security for its communication. In application layer, we have HTTPS, which provides security. Whereas in network layer, there is nothing as such. Hence, we have IPsec, which provides security, and it extends its security to the upper layer also. Okay. And one more thing which you need to keep in mind is you can make a note of this, which is very important. Applications need not be specifically designed to use IPsec. Okay. See, for some protocols, doesn't work for all the applications. You need to take care with respect to that while developing the application. But now IPsec is not that case. Okay. Whatever the application you have, that application in network layer will be supported by or will be secured by IPsec. Is that clear? You need not specifically design any application for IPsec. That is very important. Uh, it and again IPsec provides network-based security against or defense against network-based attacks for basically untrusted computers and other things. So these are the main reasons why we need IPsec. And you can make a note of this, students. I will give you the advantage and disadvantage of IPsec. I think I have not discussed that. Please make a note of it. It is not there in slides also. Okay. Please make a note of it. The main advantage of IPsec is it is transparent to applications. It is transparent to applications. That means you need not design any specific module in your application while you are developing it so that it work with IPsec. There is no need for that. You develop any kind of an application, the IPsec supports it. I said you already. That is one major advantage of IPsec. So, and IPsec is appropriate for securing real-time traffic. Is that clear? It provides all real-time traffic, which is an advantage, and most of the security protocols will do that. But IPsec is more effective because it is working in the network layer. Um, and again, it is very simple. There is no training required for any users on the security mechanism of IPsec. Is that clear? So once it is configured, the configuring IPsec is quite difficult, but once it is configured, there is no training required for anyone to use it. Is that clear? So the user can simply use the security mechanism provided by IPsec. These are some of the advantages of IPsec. And what are the disadvantages of IPsec? So um, you can make a note of this. this IPsec will add more overhead. Is that clear? So to the network and application traffic, basically when there is more overhead added to your network traffic or application traffic, it will get slowed down. I mean, to a very small extent, but still some sort of a delay is added there when you are adding more header. But it's a trade-off. If you want security, you need to add it. If you don't want, then you can leave it. Whether you want speed or whether you want security, it depends on the application what you are using. So one major disadvantage with IPsec is IPsec does not stop denial of service attack, and not all the kind of denial of service attack. Basically, the DOS attacks that aim to cause a system to crash or overload. Is that clear? So that kind of a, I mean, most of the DOS attack aims for that only. But there are some other DOS attacks which just want to slow down your system. But there are some DOS attacks which wishes to crash your system. Those kind of DOS attacks, IPsec will not detect. That's the one major disadvantage with IPsec, students. I think now there is some new updates to IPsec which might do, but according to your textbooks, even now IPsec doesn't stop denial of service attack. Please keep this in mind. Um, uh, these are some of the and VPN configuration with IPsec is little complicated. Okay, I said you it is easy to use, but once it is configured, it is easy to use, but configuring is quite difficult. So IPsec configuration is quite complicated. Is that clear, student? So these are some of the uh, uh, disadvantages of IPsec. And one more thing is for our mobile, for our other or for our PDAs, IPsec is have just started now. Okay, IPsec is very new to the mobile devices. Is that clear? So these are the advantages and disadvantages of IPsec. So apart from this, what we have seen is um, uh, yeah, here from here it is important what we have discussed. So the IPsec architecture, we have different what I can say records in the IPsec architecture. You can see every box here, every notation here is a record architecture: ESP protocol, AH protocol, encryption algorithm, authentication algorithm, DOI, key management. All these things are the records of or documents of IPsec architecture. Yeah, documents of IPsec architecture, and we will go in depth and study about ESP protocol and AH protocol in detail. So under AH protocol, you can see the header format of the AH protocol. Every AH protocol will have security parameter index, which is basically the value which okay, to put it in this way, security parameter index is basically the IP destination address which identifies the security association. It's a identifier of security association which will be the destination IP address itself, since it is 32-bit in authentication header format. Okay, and apart from that, you have sequence number, next header, payload, reserved field for authentication header format. And if you go to the encapsulating security payload, so you have security association identifier, which is not the destination IP address, student. It is also used to identify the security association associated with this particular connection, but it will be a pseudo random value. Is that clear? Similar to the security parameter index in authentication header, here it is security association identifier, but here it is not the 32-bit destination IP address, whereas in security parameter index, it is 32-bit destination address. IP address itself will be a value. Here it will be just a random value. And what is the other difference between this encapsulating security payload and the authentication header? basically authentication header provides the major work of authentication header is data origin authentication. Is that clear? Whereas ESP, it provides confidentiality, and to some extent it provides authentication also. Is that clear? Confidentiality is the major work of encapsulating security payload, but to some extent it provides
Sir,
authentication also. Yeah.
sir, when you said about IPsec, you said that there is no need to um, have a separate module to have IPsec. It will work in any environment.
Yes.
Can you tell for TLS or SSL, do we need any modules which need to be
Yes.
installed to for that to work, sir? Is there any module like that?
Installing, you have to do installation of SSL or TLS or IPsec, whatever it is you are using. You have to use the modules. But while you are generating your application, while you are creating your application, say for example you are coming up with a new application which you want to launch. If you want to provide security for that in the transport layer by using SSL, in that case you have to specifically do some changes in your application so that SSL supports it. Okay, but for IPsec it is not the case. You don't have to make any changes in your application code to so that IPsec supports it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And by config, you told that configuring is difficult. What is the process of configuring, sir? Like how to configure IPsec?
IPsec configuration we are not dealing in your syllabus. It's a different process and it is quite a difficult process. Okay. So it
No,
has to be
sir, where we
configured
should
with
configure,
respect to the
sir?
network. It can be configured with respect to the network or also with respect to each and every end device. Just
Oh,
like your firewalls. Firewalls can be configured for network and also for the end devices, right? Similarly, IPsec.
sir. Last one more doubt, sir.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Sir, uh, Vishnu was telling that FTP was doesn't support. I mean, IPv6 doesn't support FTP and SNMP.
Yes.
But ultimately, in the current situation, like all the IPv6 is a payload for IPv4, no sir. So
Yeah.
why is that necessary or matter that it should support
No,
FTP or SNMP?
it's not that it should not support. There is nothing hard rule like that. The only thing is IPsec is very new, and we have started using IPsec now. IPv6 now. So IPv6 doesn't support many protocols like this because it is new. There is still a proper what I can say configurations to support all the protocols which were supported by IPv4. That research is still going on. That's all. It is not that IPv6 should not support all these protocols. Nothing like that. Is that clear? Why? The major reason is IPv6 doesn't have it do not have intermediate fragmentation and reassembly, right? Because of that, there are many protocols which see in many protocols what happens their maximum transmission unit MTU will be keep on changing from link to link. So in that case, if the MTU increases for the next link, you have to do fragmentation in the intermediate router. But if you are using IPv6 doesn't support it. Since it is not supporting it, many protocols cannot use IPv6. For that, still lot of work is going on, and that will definitely IPv6 will support all these protocols in future.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so these are the major differences between AH and ESP. I think authentication provided is not strong as AH in ESP because AH is obviously created only to provide authentication. Okay, AH is not mandatory for IPv6. Use of ESP with IPv6 is optional. So these are some of the differences. You can just go through this students later. So that's about AH and ESP and the differences of it. And then moving towards the transport mode and tunnel mode, I have explained you what is transport mode and tunnel mode. basically in tunnel mode, what I can say here is the payload for the method in the, here refers to embedding a protocol data unit as a payload for other PDU, that is in the tunnel mode. Whereas in transport mode, what happens, here the original IP packet will be segmented to allocate IPsec information between IP header and the remainder. That's what you can see here. If this is the normal packet, the first right. Yeah, if you see here, the first diagram here, you have header, you have payload. What happens in AH? AH basically splits up the header and payload, and it adds a AH header in between actual IP header and the payload. Is that clear? That's how transport mode works. And this is AH transport mode. Okay, AH transport mode. And what is AH tunnel mode? We know in tunnel mode it is not going to split up, but it is going to add a new IP header. You can see here this IP header and TCP or UDP payload remains same as it is, but for that AH header is added, and also this whole AH header, IP header and payload is put into a payload part of new IP header. This is the payload part of new IP header now. Is that clear? That is how the tunnel mode works. Similarly with ESP, what is the difference in ESP? In ESP, you are going to add a ESP trailer and authentication also with this. That's the only difference. Is it clear? So that's the that is transport mode and tunnel mode of IPsec student. And we have come across something called as security association here. Can anyone tell me what is security association? What is the use of it? Yes.
Sir, it's basically a logical connection between two parties. Like it is basically to share all the parameters required during a connection, like one-way connection.
Okay. So let me define it. You are right. SA is a logical connection between two devices transferring data, which provides data protection for a unidirectional traffic. Is that clear? By using the defined IPsec protocol. So AH is basically a security association, a logical connection provided between two parties for one-way communication. Say, for example, both the parties are communicating. You need to generate two different security as you need to generate two security associations between those two parties. That is security association. And we know who generates security. Can anyone tell me who generates security association? Who creates it?
IKE.
Yes, IKE is the heart of IPsec because it manages to generate and exchange keys, and also it generates security association. Once this security association is generated, where it is going to be placed, student? Where it will be located? So suppose you have a new connection from A to B. Now you want to start the connection, you want to use a security association. You will go for IPsec security, and you need to have security association for it. What you will use? From where you will get the security association?
So from Security Association database.
Yes. That will be there in the security association database. Similar to that, there is one more database called as security policy database. Basically, this is a database where you will figure out what you are supposed to do for that packet. Say you want to discard the packet, you want to bypass the packet without doing any IPsec protection, or you want to protect it using IPsec. Is that clear? Yes, this one. Security policy database consists of a list of policy entries which you need to do. Is that clear? Whether you want to bypass or whether you want to you protect your packet or you want to discard it. Is that clear? Once if you bypass and if you just discard the packet, you need not go for security association database. But if you go for IPsec protection, is that clear? This one. If you go for protect mode, is that clear? There are three options. If you go for protect mode, then you need to go for, I mean, your packet will go into the security association database and it finds out a proper security association for its communication. There might be bundle of security associations available in security association database. If you have more connections, you will buy or you will take more security associations. You have only one connection for one way communication. You will take one security association. Is that clear? These are the different fields that will be available in the security association database. Like what is the security protocol used for the security association? What is the mode, whether it is AH mode or ESP mode? You can choose. Sorry, it is the modes are tunnel mode and transport mode. Sorry. If you are basically going for a virtual VPN connection, then you will go for tunnel mode. If you are normal communicating, then you will go for transport mode. It goes on like that. Okay. Then which encryption algorithm you are using, which authentication algorithm you are using, what is the security parameter index value, what will be the lifetime of that security association, whether it is traffic based lifetime or time based lifetime. I have explained it to you before. What is the sequence number, receive window, tunnel endpoint? All these are the fields that will be available in that particular security association, which you are going to choose from a security association database. Is that clear? So this is about the security associations and security association database. So I think after this, we directly went to IKE. Yes. What is IKE? We have seen IKE, and I told you that IKE is very important because it is the heart of IPsec architecture. The IKE is a security IPsec standard protocol used to ensure security for VPN negotiation and remote host or network access. IKE is heart of IPsec because it not only controls the services to be offered to the to secure the traffic, but also manages the whole range of different transfer options available at different levels. Creation and management of SA, very important. Creation and management of SA are most fundamental concept of working of an IPsec. Then I told you IKE exists in two versions, IKE version 1 and IKE version 2. Both the versions have two different phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is basically to have a connection, and then in phase 2 you will actually transfer your data. So with this knowledge, we move to the IKE daemon. So basically, one important IKE protocol, which also has two phases. The first one is authentication phase, and in that you have two modes, that is main mode and aggressive mode. In main mode, basically you will be exchanging 6 different messages. In aggressive mode, the same information will be sent in just 3 messages. It is quite faster compared to main mode. And finally, to have the what I can say, to negotiate the for authentication. For authentication of IKE, I mean two IPsec keys, you have 4 different options. That is using the pre-shared keys, digital signatures, RSA public encryption, and revised RSA public key encryption. I have explained this also to you. So and the aggressive mode is you have 3 messages you can see here. The same messages what you see in the main mode, 6 messages are put together in just compressed in just 3 messages. That's all. And that this will happen in the first phase, that is in the authentication phase. Second phase is key exchange. Once there is authentication generated or created between 2 parties, you will go for key exchange. The major key exchange protocol in IPsec IKE is Diffie-Hellman key generation. We have seen the Diffie-Hellman key generation, how it works. You have a public value, a private value in both the users, and then public value of both the users will be shared among themselves, and then combination of A private and B public value, and B private, A public value in both the users, it generates a shared secret value which remains same, because the base mathematical formulas or whatever is used to generate this will be same in both users. Hence, it will have a same key which will be used for encryption and decryption between the parties. So that is Diffie-Hellman key generation algorithm. So after this, I think we discussed about the difference between comparisons of IPsec and SSL, comparison of IPsec and TLS. I told you I will share that table with you. I will do it later. For tomorrow's quiz, I think this portion is sufficient. And that's all we have discussed in IPsec. So, any questions, students, regarding IPsec? Hello?
Yes, sir. Actually, those attacks and all are there or not, sir? I think
No,
we covered.
that is not part of IPsec.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, I hope about IPsec, the things are clear. Right, students?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was actually disconnected, but then yes, sir, this topic is almost clear.
Okay, fine then. We will not start the authentication or the other chapter revision today. We will stop it here. In the next class, we will start the other chapter revision. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask, or else you can leave.